Hello student, I am Kadambini Balkrishna Patil, teacher in mathematics, presently working with Deccan Education Societies, Willingdon College, Sangli. We are discussed about the calculus, branches of the calculus, in which derivative you are already studied, and we are started with indefinite integral, and we are discussed in last lecture what, and for the remaining part continuation we'll see or we'll move towards the PPT. Indefinite integration, and here the marks are reduced this time. This is for 6 marks for you people. This is for 6 marks. Okay, previously it was for 8 marks, so that much part was deleted from here. So we'll begin with that. And now calculus, here we are dealing with the integration, which is a language of engineers, scientists and economists. So we'll think why I am telling you all these things, because normally the question is that by mathematics what we are doing in our daily life, why we need to study the integration, why we need to study the derivatives. For that I am explaining you integration is important. It is a language of a machine. It is a language of engineers, it is language of scientists, it is language of economists. Okay, from your microwave, cell phone, TV to car and the medicine, economy and the national defense, all needs the calculus. Okay, daily life you also need a calculus, but you never say that it is a calculus. So you are using in your daily lives also the word calculus, but here it's like a, what are the fields? So area between the curve, this is the most important, which we are going to. Distance and velocity, which you are already studied in the physics. There you are studied about the acceleration. Volume also be required for the physics, and volume you require in chemistry also. Average value of a function, that also you need to calculate. Average, that means in first lecture I explained the patient, average patient for the daily, for the India, for outside the India, that is also calculated by work. Work is also calculated. Center of mass, because there is no formula, or you are not going to be measured by hand that what is the center of mass. There also you require integration. Then nothing is kinetic energy, which you are already studied in chemistry. Probability, the possibility. Probability means possibility of, chance of. That is also calculated by integration. There is a sum, but there is a branches in probability also, so that also you are able to calculate here. Then arc of a length, that is also calculated. Surface area, all these are the examples where we need our integration. But now our topic is indefinite integration. In this indefinite integration, what is the definition of this indefinite integration? We'll start with our definition. So what is the definition? Definition, properties, then different techniques to find the integrations. So one by one, first we'll see the definition, then we'll see what are the properties we are going to use in it, or how we will use the derivative to find the formulas and all. Then we'll use how different techniques are there to find, because it's combination of the function. So you need different techniques also to find the integration. There is a substitution method also included in. By parts method is very important because it is used for the product of the functions. Okay, then partial fraction method is deleted for you, but there is a partial fraction method also. So what is integration? Integration is given by, now here is different, you can say definition. We are started with definition. We know how many parts we are going to learn in it. So definition says that the process of finding a function given its derivative is called anti-differentiation or integration. Means process of finding a function, that is reverse process of finding of a function whose derivative is given inside the integral sign, that is called as integration. Now what is in our symbolic form? Symbolic form says that if f dash x is equal to fx, we say that fx is antiderivative of fx. This fx is capital Fx, this is fx. You can use another symbol also. If g dash of x equal to fx, then we say that g of x is antiderivative of fx. That means what? You need to find a function whose derivative is given function. So that is called as integration. This is symbolic meaning of the given function. Okay, so for this example is fx is cos x and antiderivative of it is sin x. Okay, next is e raised to x is an antiderivative of itself only, because derivative of e raised to x is e raised to x. So integral of e raised to x will be also e raised to x. Integration in mathematics, techniques of the finding a function gx. What is our motivation? What is our motivation in mathematics for the integration technique? What is that technique? Is to find a function gx. What type of function gx is? The derivative of which? The function gx whose derivative is you are able to find as fx is equal to fx. That means derivative of gx. The meaning of this statement is derivative of gx is fx. This is the meaning. This process in mathematics or the technique used in the mathematics, then it is written as, what way it will write? You have to write antiderivative process, means gx is equal to integral sign now sum f fx, and as this is independent variable, there is a change dx along with that integral sign. In derivative you are having this change in the denominator, you can say d by dx, so it is in the denominator. Here you are taking along the sign. Okay, so that's why this process is completely opposite to the derivative. So usually call this as indefinite integral of the function, and the symbol dx represent an infinite decimals, which we are already seen in our first lecture. So displacement along the x. This is nothing but it is a product of fx and dx. Okay, so integral of fx dx is nothing but sum of product of fx and dx. And why fx and dx? I have already explained. This is a curve. You are having fx and here you are having delta x. Normally delta x we write as dx also. So that is fx dx. Okay, so this way you will get, or you can say from the definition also, limit, you are already learned, limit delta y upon delta x, this is a small delta x, tends to 0, okay, is equal to dy by dx, means your function fx in first lecture we have seen. So this delta x goes to this side while using your antiderivative. So you will get delta y is equal to integration of fx dx. Okay, so these are the reverse process which we are going to use. That means it is a product of fx and dx under the sum. Okay, so here we know that fx is an antiderivative of fx. Similarly, just now in the last lecture only I have explained you that fx plus c also gives you the same fx. Why? The derivative of constant is 0. We know that. The derivative of constant is 0. There I explained by using example x square plus 2, x square plus 100 and x square. For all these your derivative is fixed. And what is that derivative? 2x. But you are having different functions here. So therefore we say that fx plus c, any constant. Here you are able to write 0. So it may be 0. So this c may be anything, 0, 100, 2. So if fx is an antiderivative of fx, then fx plus c is also an antiderivative of fx. Okay, so where c is constant, and this constant is given the name constant of integration. Now onwards we'll use the word here as this is constant of integration. Okay, for this also antiderivative of fx as the derivative of a constant is 0. That I am explaining again and again, that here there is a constant which you don't know. For that constant it may be 0, but you need to write c belongs to R. So any r. Here you are able to take, this is a symbolically we use constant c. This is symbol c for the constant. So constant of derivative, and which is also known as constant of integration, as we are using in integration sign. Okay. So now in fact they are the only antiderivative of fx. So integration and differentiation are reverse process, that you have to keep in mind. So we'll write this way. This is our formula. Integration of fx dx is capital Fx plus c. Normally in your text it is capital Fx is used. So I am using here. Otherwise this is a symbol. You can use gx also. So integral of fx dx equal to gx plus c. This is your convenience how to use it. Okay. So here you are having f dash of fx equal to fx. We call this as indefinite integral. This starts with the topic here, and this topic you are already studied in 11th standard. Now we'll see what are the direct formulas you are studied in derivatives and its integral by using antiderivative form. In that, your first formula is derivative of x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1 is x raised to n. You know that derivative you are already studied. So this is n plus 1. X raised to n plus 1 minus 1 upon n plus 1. N plus 1 is constant. And therefore, this n plus 1 as it is, or I will solve this properly so that you will come to know how to find the derivative. So here 1 upon n plus 1 is constant. So it is out of the derivative sign. You will get derivative of x raised to n plus 1. Then you are using your formula. 1 upon n plus 1 derivative says that n plus 1 into x raised to minus 1. So that is n plus 1 minus 1. So this n plus 1 will get cancelled. You will get x raised to n. So here you are having x raised to n. But in our process, we need now antiderivative process. Means this is under the integral sign. That is nothing but x raised to n dx. You will get this function as it is here. That is x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1. And this is constant of integration. And that you have to write every time. For every function, you must write c. So plus c. After integrating the function, always that is important to write. Okay. Here one more condition is given. N is not equal to minus 1. What will happen if n equal to minus 1? If n equal to minus 1, then that means integration of x raised to minus 1. What is x raised to minus 1? That is, in indices law, we say that 1 upon x dx. And we know that this is the derivative of log x. So that formula is different. So here the condition is n should not be equal to minus 1. That is only, and so this is important condition for the function. Now derivative of log x, look at here. Immediately after this, it is because of this condition. Derivative of log x is 1 upon x. Therefore, in the reverse process, we say that 1 upon x dx equal to log x plus constant of integration. Every time we'll write now constant of integration. Derivative of sin x equal to cos x. I took this example while explaining indefinite integral. So integration of cos x dx equal to sin x plus c. Always you write down all the formulas in one notebook so that it is easy to solve the examples. So write down this formula one after the other in your notebook. So next is the derivative of minus cos x, because you are already studied how you are getting the derivative. So derivative of minus cos x is sin x, and hence integration of sin x dx is minus cos x, vice versa. That means you are able to write derivative of cos x equal to minus sin x, and you are able to write this as integration of minus sin x dx is equal to cos x plus constant of integration. You are able to, because you know this formula. You are not having negative sign over here, you are having a negative sign here, but while writing the integration, then you change your negative sign, because -1 by multiplying by -1 is not a big problem. Okay, so you will get that formula also. Next one is that derivative of tan x is sec square x, means integration of sec square x is tan x plus c. This is next formula. They are directly from your derivatives. So derivative, we are going to use all these formula in our first exercise, because our first exercise is based on definition only, that we are using antiderivative, that concept, and the exercise is based on that. So now look at here, derivative of minus cot x is cosec square x. So integration of cosec square x dx is equal to minus cot x plus c. Here also same thing happens. You are able to write derivative of cot x equal to minus cosec square x, because this is the formula which you are studied, and by that you are able to use it. Integration of cosec square x dx equal to, here if you will use this, minus cosec square dx is equal to cot x plus constant of integration. Now look at here, you are having -1 is constant, multiply throughout by -1, you will get integration of cosec square x dx equal to minus cot x plus c. Okay, so -1 is not a problem. So by that -1 you will get the again same the formula. So you are able to use it. Next, seventh one. Seventh one is derivative of sec x, because we are having 6 trigonometric ratios. So for 6 trigonometric ratios you will have the 6 formulas. So a derivative of sec x equal to sec x tan x, then integration of sec x tan x dx equal to sec x plus c. Then after sec x you will have the cosec. So derivative of minus cosec x equal to cosec cot x. So therefore integration of cosec x cot x equal to minus cosec plus constant of integration. Whenever you are having negative sign, again the formula applies for the same, whatever we are using for the minus cot x or cos x. Okay, now derivative of a raised to x upon log a is a raised to x. So integration of a raised to x dx is a raised to x upon log a plus constant of integration. Now look at here, derivative of a raised to x. What is derivative of a raised to x? Derivative of a raised to x is a raised to x into log a. Similarly, as integration is reverse process, we know that a raised to x is a raised to x. Okay, here log a is multiplied, so in the reverse way you have to divide by log a plus constant of integration. This is only explained by this example. Next one, next formula is e raised to x, which you know that it's simple one. Derivative of e raised to x is e raised to x. So integration of e raised to x is also e raised to x plus constant. Now look at here. We have seen the power function x raised to n, in which n is not equal to -1, means you are having 1 upon x. Okay. Now after that second two functions, then you are having 6 trigonometric ratios. What are these are the two functions. One is x raised to n and 1 upon x. Then you are having 6 trigonometric ratios. Then 2 exponential functions when it is a base e or base a. So again you will have, so total 10 formulas are here with power, with trigonometric ratios and with exponential functions. These are the 10 basic formulas. Now we'll move towards the formulas which are related to inverse trigonometric functions. Now you know that how to find the inverse trigonometric functions. You know that derivative of sine inverse x and cos inverse x is same, only differ by the sign, and that sign is minus. Okay, so what is the derivative of sine inverse x? Derivative of sine inverse x is 1 upon root of 1 minus x square, whereas derivative of cos inverse x, Cos inverse x is minus 1 upon root of 1 minus x square. Now to come across the common point, take negative sign to this side so that you will get only one function for the integration, and therefore 11th your formula is derivative of sine inverse x is same as derivative of minus cos inverse x, which is given by 1 upon root of 1 minus x square. Therefore, by our formula, we say that integration of 1 upon root of 1 minus x square dx equal to, either you are able to write sine inverse x plus c, that is your convenient. It depends upon where you are using, or you are able to write as minus cos inverse of x plus constant of integration. Next, similarly, you will get for the tan inverse and cot inverse also. The derivative of tan inverse x is same as the derivative of minus cot inverse x, that is nothing but 1 upon 1 plus x square. Means by our definition, the integration says that integration of 1 upon 1 plus x square dx is tan inverse of x plus constant of integration, or this is same as minus cot inverse x plus constant of integration. Now look at here, out of 6 trigonometric ratios, you are having 6 inverse trigonometric ratios in which 2 are clubbed together. So you left with sec inverse and cosec inverse. So you must know that now next formula is related to sec inverse and cosec inverse. So derivative of sec inverse x is same as derivative of minus cosec inverse x. This is only the difference in all these trigonometric ratios. So minus cosec inverse of x, which is nothing but 1 upon x root of 1 minus x square. So we say that integration of 1 upon x root of 1 minus x square dx equal to sec inverse of x plus constant or minus cosec inverse of x plus constant. These are the formulas which are related to your trigonometric functions and all. So every time we are not getting such simple functions. Why? Because these are the straightaway functions from the derivative. So if you are not having some simple function, so you will have the some combination of standard function. In such situation, what we'll do? We have to use our standard rules which are stated, and we know that rule. What are the rules? If fx and gx are integrable functions of x, then your first theorem says that if there is a sum of integration, then you will get the sum of the integrations. That means you are able to separate out. Same thing happens with negative sign also. That is difference of the two integrals. Integration of fx minus gx is nothing but integration of fx dx minus integration of gx dx. Like derivative, if the function is multiplied by any constant, that constant is out of the integral sign and you will get fx dx. So we'll prove the theorem first. That is, if it is integral of fx plus gx dx equal to integral of fx dx plus integral of gx dx by with the help of derivative. Okay, so we'll start with our theorem. So theorem says that we want integral. Okay, so we'll start with assuming. So first you assume that integral of fx dx is some g1x plus c1, integral of gx dx is some g2x plus c2. Then you need to add, okay, or use the derivative first. So look at here, derivative of this function, reverse process now. Derivative of g1x plus c1 is fx. Derivative of g2x plus c2 is gx. Now you add the derivative, okay. So if you add the derivative, derivative of g1x, in derivative you know that you are using derivative of fx plus derivative of gx. This rule you are already used, is nothing but derivative of fx plus gx. That same formula we are using here to prove the formula for integration. Okay, look at here. So derivative of g1x plus c1, in addition with these two, you will get the derivative of g1x plus c1 plus g2x plus c2. Okay, this is equal to what? This is equal to separation. Separation gives you Look at here. The separation gives you again the derivative of g1x. We are used here derivative formula. We are started with this. We are using derivative formula. But we know that, what you know? You know that g1x plus c1 is fx and g2x plus c2, its derivative is gx. That we need to substitute. So you will get fx plus gx. So finally what we got, the derivative of this complete function is equal to fx plus gx. Okay. What we'll do? We'll do by definition of integration. What is definition of integration? Reverse process. What was that? Derivative of g1x plus c1 plus g2x plus c2. Okay, these two functions are there. This one is separate, this one is separate, and equal to, we got the value as fx plus gx. Now we know that integration is reverse process or antiderivative process. So you will get this formula here. Integration of fx gx dx equal to this complete value. And you know that c1 plus c2, that is belongs to r. So addition gives you another r. So this is nothing but, this is integration. We are assumed this is nothing but integration of fx dx. This is nothing but integration of gx dx. Hence our theorem says that integration of fx plus gx dx is equal to integration of fx plus integration of gx dx. Now look at here, this is the formula. Then we are having subtraction. Subtraction says that again you use fx minus gx, that dx is equal to integration of fx dx minus integration of gx dx. Again, whenever you are having plus sign, you have to use minus sign. Means what? We'll write as derivative of g1x plus c1. It is same as fx. Okay. Then this assumption is same. That is, again you are able to write derivative of g2x plus c2 is equal to gx. Now that means from here only integration of fx, what you will get integration of fx, that is nothing but g1x plus c1 and integration of gx equal to g2x plus c2, and again you will get your result from the complete process. So we'll stop here. We'll continue in the next lecture. Student, we have seen what is indefinite integration, how it is called as antiderivative, and how it is used in our formula. That means you are already learned in the derivative the sum of the functions, which are trigonometric functions and exponential function, as well as the power function, its derivative. From that, by using our definition, we got the formula. We'll see next time remaining part. Thank you.